Hi guys, welcome back to Flora Fun and Food. My name is Lauren and today I'm going to do a tutorial on the Cricut on how to make vinyl letter labels. I say quick, but it's like a 20-minute video, but it goes step by step how to design, cut, transfer, all of that. So let me show you how to do it. Once you have opened up Cricut Design Space, you're just going to click New Project up in the top right corner, and it will open up a blank canvas. Now, today's tutorial is going to be very simple text. And so all you're going to do is create a text box by clicking the text icon on the left, typing what you want in your box, and selecting your font. It automatically makes it a basic cut. If you wanted to make it draw, if you're going to, write it instead of cut it out, that's where you do all of these options here. Print then cut is another option that we'll go into at a later tutorial, but we're just going to keep it basic today. And let's find a fun font. Now, Cricut has their own fonts that you can purchase in the app. Or you can click here where it says System and use any of your own fonts that you have downloaded. Now, I have a ton that I've downloaded before. If you want an easy, free place to get fonts, you can go to this website called dafont.com. It's usually not for commercial use, so if you're going to create something to sell, you want to make sure you get the licenses for it, but these are free for personal use. So if you've never downloaded a font before, just find one that you like. Say we like this top one here. Just click download. And then once it downloads, it'll usually be a zip file. So you just need to unzip it. And then it opens up this folder. When you open the folder, there are usually two options. There's usually a TTF or an OTF. Either one works on my Mac. So you just double click on the OTF or the TTF. And then this little box pops up that shows you a preview. So these are all the capitals. You click Install Font, and it will open up your font installer. And it just has this little, loading bar. And then, boom, it's right there in your fonts. You will need to close the Cricut app or the Word document or whatever you're working in for it to then pop back up when you reopen. But it's just as simple as that. So we've got the sans. Now let's do the script. Install. Let it load. And we have both of them right there. So this is called Bartlean. So let me show you. It's not going to be in Cricut yet because we haven't closed and reopened. So like I said, you just need to completely close the app, like quit the program, reopen it, and it will be there for you. So let's just find a fun font. This is going to go on a teacher's bookshelf. So we want like a cute font, but one that's not too thin and dainty. We want something that will stand out, but, not be super boring. We want something cute. So I'm just going to scroll through here and find one. I like Cricut because it shows you the preview of the font as you're scrolling. That's kind of nice. So I like this one called Set Fire to the Rain. So we're going to click on that. You can also bookmark fonts that you use a lot. So like this is one I use a lot. So if I click bookmark, there's a category up here that just saves the fonts that I use often. So it's just an easier way to find some of your favorites. So here is the Set Fire to the Rain. It's pretty cutesy. I'm going to do them all caps because the way the bookshelf is, we don't want this P hanging down and then, not being stuck to the wood. So we need to now size our letter. The bookshelf edge is about 1 inch tall. So up here where our size is, we want to make sure that the whole thing is going to fit. So right now it's almost 4.5 by 1 inches. And that's too big for our bookshelf. So up here at the size, you can change the height and the width. You can also just drag to what you want, but I know I want the height to be just under 1 inch. So I'm going to do 0.75. If you have this lock on, it will automatically keep the proportions correct for the width without stretching it out. If you want to hit unlock, it'll let you kind of stretch the letters, up and down. So this is the size I want for all of the letters. So I'm now going to just duplicate this by copying and pasting. And I just do Command C, Command V. You can also, you can right click, copy, paste. There's probably 1,000 ways to copy and paste. I just like the keyboard shortcuts. So now we're just going to double click in here and type our new label. And paste again, drag it down. You don't have to put it anywhere centered on this screen. It will just, it's going to move on you once you click make it, so don't worry about that. Okay, I have done all of my different labels here, and they are all under an inch tall. This one changed the height slightly. It must just be because of the letters that are in it. It didn't need that extra little bit. So these are all roughly the same size. So now it's just a matter of making the project. So once you're ready, you're going to go ahead and click Make It. Once it opens up to your kind of cutting page, it's going to put everything as close as possible together. I don't like that because then it's harder to kind of cut them apart. So I like to just move things around. It does use a little bit more vinyl, but trust me, it's going to make it easier for you in the end if you just kind of space them out a little bit. So we'll just kind of separate these. You can move these around any way you want. You can turn them with this arrow here, but for words, you pretty much just kind of keep it how it is. Okay, so now I've got my fonts here. We are not going to mirror this because we're not using iron-on. So the only time you mirror is when you're cutting iron-on vinyl, because you have to kind of cut the backside, and we'll get into that in another tutorial. So this is just, we're going to use permanent vinyl and cut out some labels. So once you have it arranged how you want, you're going to hit continue. Once your device is plugged in via USB, make sure that it is turned on. If it says not found, just hit the refresh once you've plugged it in and it will find it. Now you can select the material that you're using. I have bookmarked the ones that I use most often, but you can click here for browse all materials and search things. So I'm just using regular old permanent vinyl, so I'm just going to click on vinyl. It tells you what tool you need. Most of these are just the fine point blade that is kind of the standard one it comes with. So it walks you through. No extra tool required in clamp A. I've already got this one loaded. If you have the wrong tool loaded, it will tell you, it knows what's in there, and then we'll load our mat using this arrow. So now it's time to get our mat loaded, and then I'll show you what to do next. As you can see, our arrow is blinking, so it's ready to accept our sheet. So we're going to take the protective cover off. And I am just using the Paper Studio brand. I think they've changed their company name now. It's called like something, I don't remember. But this is cheaper than the Cricut brand stuff, and it works just as well. So I chose permanent vinyl. Purple was her requested color. So you can buy individual sheets, or you can buy tubes like this. The tubes typically are a little more bang for your buck. But if you're just doing a one-off project, you may not want an entire tube of a color, but purple's my favorite color, so we're just going to use the tube. All right. So when using permanent vinyl, you want the colorful side facing up instead of the backing. The backing is going to go down. And based on my mat, I'm going down to 6 inches. So what I typically do, instead of having to wrangle 24 inches of this material, is I'll just kind of line it up roughly, find like an inch wider, and cut it. And I like the backing of this because then you can just easily follow one of the lines and cut straight across. And then I like to just keep them stored in the tube so that I have the label of what it is, so I don't mistake it for, iron-on or something like that. Okay, now I have my vinyl. I'm just going to take the corners and line it up with the corners of the grid on my mat and just smooth it all down. Now, my mats have had some pretty heavy use, and so my sticky stuff on the mat isn't as sticky as it used to be, so I just like to secure the corners with a little bit of masking tape because they tend to kind of peel up as it's cutting, and you really don't want it to fold over onto itself because then it just becomes a whole mess and you usually have to redo your project. So let's secure the top corners. You don't need a ton, and this is why I like to give myself a little extra space in the cutting area so that the blade doesn't have to cut through tape and vinyl, because it just makes it kind of hard. You have to peel some tape away. It might not cut through the vinyl all the way. So once I have my tape nice and flat and my piece secured, I'm going to make sure the corners of my mat go under these slots here. and make sure that it's nice and taut and hit this arrow. If it goes in, here, I'll do it for you. If it goes in crooked, see how it's like bubbled up, it's not under that tab, take it right back out because it has to be flush. So it's under both. I'm pushing it as taut as I can. Hit the arrow. It's nice and centered and ready to go. Then on our screen, it will change. It knows that it's loaded. I always click this fast mode button because it just cuts it faster. If I'm doing something really intricate, I don't use that. But for letters, it'll be easy. And it tells you just to go ahead and click the go button, which is this flashing Cricut button right here. Click it and it will orient itself and start cutting. And I didn't mention this before, but there are different colors of these mats. There's like light blue, pink, purple, green. They're all different grip strengths. So the green is the standard grip. The purple is like the strong grip. I think blue is light grip. I think pink might be for fabric. There's different reasons you use different mats. I typically just use the green for everything that I do, and it works just fine. Another thing I want to mention now that this is getting close to the bottom is you always want to make sure that your Cricut machine is not pushed up against a wall, because this mat will go all the way back and through, and if you're using the 12 by 24 long mat, it needs space to go in and out. So just make sure that you always give it enough room to be able to move your mat back and forth. Okay, now that it's done, our arrow is flashing, telling us that it is safe to remove. If you don't think it got a good enough cut, like if it didn't have enough pressure, you can tell it didn't cut through, or maybe you clicked the wrong material. Right now, before you take it out, do the cut again, because it will still be perfectly in line with how it was lined up before. If you take it out and put it back through, it may be off by a slight millimeter, and it'll cut, different lines. So if you're unsure that it made the right cut, go ahead and cut it again by hitting the Cricut button, and it will just do the exact same thing, just one more pass. But this looks like it's good. I'm going to release it. And now it's time to weed out all of our little extra pieces and get this onto some transfer tape so it's ready for the bookshelf. Once you're done, you also want to make sure that you save your project. So if you need to make tweaks or something to it later, you have it and you don't have to totally remake it. And it will save. You can do a new collection. I don't want a new collection. I just want to save my project. And it'll say that it's saved, and you can always find it in the My Stuff tab right here. So you can see all of the projects I've made, and it's right there. When you click on it, you want to hit Customize if you want to change something, or you can just click Make It if you want to redo the entire thing completely as it is. All right, first step is to peel off our masking tape. You can see it got a little bit of a cut right there, but that's not a big deal. We just have to kind of scrape off the masking tape from our vinyl. So see, it got the very top of all these letters, so I'll just use my nail here and just kind of scrape it off. It's still cut through the vinyl just fine. And I typically like to weed it while it is stuck to the mat because it just gives me an easier surface. It doesn't roll up on itself. So what you're going to do is start at a corner and peel the vinyl off of the backing. And see, I gave myself way too much room. I kind of wasted probably 2 inches, but I'd rather waste a little bit than have to redo the entire thing. So, just give yourself a little extra room. So I like to kind of go left to right or top to bottom, just kind of one gentle peel all the way across. And you can see where we're going to have to do some weeding, which just means pulling out the pieces that didn't come off as a single piece, because it's usually inside of a letter or it ripped or something like that. Now, I know this feels wasteful, but this is now trash. Now, for weeding, my personal favorite tool is this needle point tweezer set here. It's very sharp, so be careful. But there are things like picks that kind of look like dentist tools, and you can kind of get in and under things. I just typically use these for everything. So now comes kind of the tedious part. You're going to go in and lift out the extra pieces. And I bought this fun little suction cup thing to hold my scraps and just make it easier to get it off of my tweezers. So this, sometimes it's relaxing to me, and other times if I just want to be done, this is the most tedious part and I hate it. But this, since it's nice big font, it's not going to be too bad. So I just realized that I wrinkled up the vinyl and I missed 3 letters here that came up with it. So I am going to have to reprint that one. That's my fault for not checking before wadding it up and throwing it away. Yeah, I think I kind of destroyed it. That's what I get for not paying attention. Well, actually, it might be okay. Here, it's at the top corner, so I'm just going to cut off the extra so it's out of my way. So if I line this back up, see the M is kind of already messed up. I can get it restuck back down. So don't throw away your scrap until you're sure you got every piece. This is because of the masking tape. It was not completely cut through on that very tip top of each of these letters. So that's on me. There we go. I think the M needs to come up just a bit. There we go, good as new. So pay attention to that. Yeah, I believe the E's have a little tiny cut in them. So I like to just do one more quick check that I got all the little pieces weeded out. Okay, so the next step is to use some transfer paper like this to put a clear kind of cover on the top that will stick to the vinyl, but not this slick backing, and it will help us transfer our words onto our surface, and I'll show you how to do that too. So I'm just going to unroll a piece just large enough, and I like that it's, I buy the gridded kind. You can buy non-gridded kind, but I like this because it helps me line things up straight. So I'm going to cut on this line here. Okay, so now we're just going to peel our transfer paper off of the backing. And I like to stand up to do this. So you're going to try and line it up to where the grid lines are, you know, perpendicular and parallel to your words. You don't want to be crooked because then it's hard to line things up later. So I try to line up the edge with an edge. You get a bubble, just carefully peel it up. Okay, once it has no bubbles and it's nice and straight, you can just kind of push it down. I have a roller tool that I use, and it just helps kind of get it nice and stuck. You could use a credit card, you can use just something flat, but make sure it is really stuck to the clear transfer tape. You can also use one of these scrapers to really make sure each letter's stuck. If you start peeling up your backing and realize that half of your letters are still sticking to the backing, then your letters are not stuck to the clear transfer paper enough. So you just need to go over it again. Let's see how we did. So if I peel up this corner, see how my letters are not coming with me? That means I need to do a little more pressure and just really get each letter nice and stuck to that transfer paper. You can also use contact paper. That works just as well. It's pretty much the exact same thing. So whatever works. I don't recommend tape. It's just too sticky and it doesn't like to release the vinyl. So see, now my letters are peeling up. The U is not. So you just have to kind of see how it goes. So once everything is stuck down, you can remove your whole sheet from your cutting mat and you can cut the individual pieces apart. I like to leave myself a little bit of an edge here so that I can easily grab the clear and peel it off. I don't have to use my fingernails as much. And this part does not have to be perfect because it's coming off, so I just kind of like to make it easier to line up. So now I have my individual words. Again, if it's not stuck down, just rub it with, you know, even the edge of your scissors. It'll work. Anything kind of that you can just use some pressure on will be fine. So we have all of these now, and I'll show you how to transfer it to a surface. Okay, I just grabbed a scrap because these are obviously going in someone's classroom. So to show you how to transfer it, I'm just going to use the negative of this project. So once I've got it stuck to my transfer tape, nice and, even, I'm going to find a corner. This is kind of the tricky part. Sometimes it doesn't like to come apart. I'm going to find a corner and just peel off that backing so that everything stays in line. So these individual letters will all stay together. That makes it really nice. Then all you're going to do is line up your words however you want it on your surface. Press it down and use something hard to scrape it. Like I said, credit cards, this little spatula thing, pair of scissors. Really get it stuck down. And then grab a corner and start peeling. If it comes up with it, it's not stuck yet. And I recommend, make sure you kind of clean your surface with some rubbing alcohol or something. It'll just help things stick better if it's not dusty and dirty. Okay, I think I got it nice and secured. And so, or it came up a little bit, so I just kind of pushed it down with my finger. And I'm just going to carefully peel it from corner to corner. This is not a very good surface to do it on. But if it's really, you can use your finger and just kind of rub, and it usually sticks itself pretty well. Once it's on, you could go over it again with something flat or just, with your finger. And it's as easy as that. So then this goes in the trash, and this is permanently stuck. Well, I say permanent. It will come off, but it'll be nice and stuck to your surface. You could use some like Mod Podge and go over it. You could put a piece of like clear tape over it. You could do like a clear finish over it just to seal it even better. But if you're not going to be messing with the surface a lot, this will stick just fine. So like I said, it's not actually permanent. I can sit here and peel it off. So if you really mess something up, you can always get it off. You can make car window decals using this method. You can use, you can make labels for your pantry, labels for your craft drawers that I should do over there on mine. But I hope that helped. And if you guys liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and head over to my channel to subscribe for more content like this. And I hope to see you again very soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.